10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 120. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 120 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. Hope you're having a great week so far and hope you're ready to tune in and hopefully learn something brand new today. Today we're going to revisit the metronome, but we're going to go a heck of a lot deeper over the next couple of weeks. And we're going to talk about some stuff that you can do with the metronome that's not simply just having the metronome on in the background of whatever you're doing. These are exercises that are specifically designed to give you a greater connection with your metronome and really hopefully help your time a lot. So before we jump into the episode, just wanted to let you know that you can get PDFs for this episode and all other 119 that we've ever done at our Patreon page. And you can find that by going to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, and clicking on the Patreon link. As soon as you sign up to become a supporter of the podcast for only $3 a month, you get access to everything that we have ever done, which is by now a pretty tremendous resource if you are trying to get better at jazz. I think we've covered, a lot of topics over the past 120 episodes. So no doubt you will find something that's right for you in that archive. And I just want to thank everybody who has gone on and chosen to support us. It really means a tremendous amount to me. And it really is the difference between this podcast existing and not existing. So I really appreciate to everybody that's chosen to give us a little bit of their hard-earned money every single month. We appreciate it. Big shout out to our new members, Diego, Phil, Patience, Dave, and Stacy. Thank you guys so much for choosing to support the podcast, and you will get everything that we ever put out from now on. So if you're looking for hours and hours and hours and hours of stuff to practice and you don't know where to find it, that is a great place to go. Support the show, get all of those materials. Okay, let's jump into today's episode. So way back in episode 38, I talked about the metronome a little bit. And as I said in the introduction, I did talk about the metronome, but it was very elementary stuff. It was just, a couple of ways that you could set the metronome. And basically, I was just demonstrating playing a tune with it in a couple of those different ways. But what we're going to talk about today is we're going to get a little bit deeper into a practice routine where we are only focusing on the metronome and locking in with it absolutely perfectly. And I think that this is a thing that a lot of people don't do. They just assume that, okay, well, if I have the metronome on while I'm practicing, I'm getting the full benefit out of what the metronome does. And to some extent, you're right, but I really don't think you're getting the full benefit that you could get if you entered into a practice routine where it was just all about the metronome and you left the other stuff behind that you were practicing and adapted a little bit of your practice time to just focusing on your connection with that machine. And that's what today's episode is about. Now, having the metronome on for a large amount of your practice time, even if you're not just focusing on it, that's a great thing to do. I don't want you to mistake me here and, okay, well, I need to work on my practice time with the metronome, but then I can turn it off for everything else that I work on. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that maybe dedicating a portion of it to focusing 100% of your energy on the metronome would be a good thing to add into your practice routine. So I got these exercises or adapted these exercises from a drummer that I had been working with over the years. And he would tell me about some of the things that he would do to develop a deeper connection. And I thought, all right, well, we can adapt those to melodic instruments and work in the same way that a drummer does. And I think it will provide tremendous benefit. So let me go through a couple of caveats here that I want you to think about when you're practicing these exercises, and they are written on the PDF sheet this week, so you will see them when you're actually working on it. So first thing is, all of the exercises are to be played at every tempo. So, start slow, but also make sure that you're working on the fast end of the spectrum as well as the slow end of the spectrum. You do not want to be just practicing these exercises in a certain range. You really want to get all over all the different tempos, because that's really what's going to shake out when you're playing music. You're going to be playing at a variety of tempos, so practice these at a variety of tempos. Now, number 2 is all the exercises should be played with a straight eighth note feel and a swing eighth note feel. And you'll notice that the first 3 exercises for the week, they only consist of quarter notes. So you're not actually going to be playing any of those underlying eighth notes for the first couple, but I want you to try to feel the underlying eighth note subdivision even when you aren't playing it. And that's going to be a challenge for a lot of you. That'll be kind of the first challenge of the thing is, can I feel those eighth notes in a different way, even when I'm not physically playing any of them? And that will help your deeper connection with the time that's going by, if you can feel a variety of subdivisions without actually playing them. And then the third thing is that you're going to be playing all of these with a major scale, right? That's what I've written them as, but you want to practice them with several different things. So maybe start by playing them just on one note. Now, I wrote it with a major scale because I feel like a C major scale is going to be really pretty easy for most of you out there. But if it isn't, don't worry about it. Simply play them on one note if you're really, really trying to get them down. And then you can work your way up to the major scale. And if you're more advanced than working on them with the major scale, put them in another mode, put them in another scale that you're working on if you're trying to hear a new sound or whatever. You don't just have to be locked into what I've given you here. But I just wanted to let you know that everything that I've put in there is with a major scale. Another great thing is that if you're tired of working on your major scales because you're just playing them up and down in eighth notes, work on your major scales with some of these rhythms that I'm showing you, and that can give you a whole new way of looking at an old tired routine, which I think is one of the best things that we can do for ourselves. Okay, one more thing is that the metronome is simply going to be on quarter notes for all of these exercises. So you're just going to set the metronome to quarter notes, let it beat on all 4 beats, and then you're going to play these exercises. We don't need to do anything else funny with the metronome, just basic all 4 beats. All right, so exercise number 1. What you're going to do is you're going to just play quarter notes up the scale on beats 2 and 4. Now this seems like a completely and totally simple exercise, but if you think about being in absolute lockstep with the metronome, that is going to be where the benefit comes from. Think about it like meditating with this metronome on and turning something really, really simple like this exercise into something that's much more deep, all right? Feel that connection with the metronome. Here's what exercise number 1 sounds like. So you can hear that the beginning of my note was not exactly aligned with the metronome. So I've got a lot of work to do on this stuff. And I think you'll find when you start working on this that you've got a lot of work to do on it as well. So exercise number 2, still quarter notes. And I'm going to play on beat 1 and then beat 4. So I've got this big gap of space in between. And now what I'm really learning to do is to connect one measure to another. At least that's what I think about when I practice this particular exercise. Here's what exercise number 2 sounds like. Okay, so you can hear that one is very, very different from exercise number 1. Now in exercise number 3, instead of playing on the bookends of the measure, we're going to play in the center of the measure. So now we're playing 2 notes on beat 2 and beat 3. So really the concept behind this is I'm just shifting what I'm playing all over the measure so that I'm really getting a sense of playing everywhere. And again, you can't do this without concentrating really deeply, or you're not going to get anything out of this. So you've really got to accept the fact, you know what, I'm just playing quarter notes at 80 BPM, and that has to be all right with you when you're playing this stuff. So here's exercise number 3. So you again on that one, you could hear that it got better as I went along. I'm only doing one take of these so that you can actually hear some of the things that I'm doing wrong that I need to work on. Just goes to show you that everybody has to work on some stuff. And I am definitely one of those people. I have a million things that I need to work on, including this very thing that I'm showing you. All right, now exercises number 4 and 5, we get into eighth notes. So now it becomes a little bit more complicated. So now I'm playing on offbeats. Exercise number 4 is all about offbeats. I'm going to do it once with straight eighth notes and once with swing eighth notes, so you can hear how big of a difference there is and how much I need to work on both. So the first one's going to be straight eighth notes. And the much harder one here is swing eighth notes. Now that was seriously bad. So that's something that I really have to work on. I mean, you could hear it. That was really uneven. It almost felt like I was doing a mix between swing and straight eighth notes. I'm going to spend some serious hours on that over the next couple of weeks just to get that down. All right, and finally, exercise number 5 for the week. I'm just going to do this in swing eighth notes. This is the offbeat of 1 leading into 2. The offbeat of 3 leading into 4. So this is a very syncopated exercise to get a little bit of that going. And I hope you're starting to see how many different possibilities this actually holds. You can put notes anywhere in the measure that you want, and that is in fact what you should be doing. So here's exercise number 5 with swing eighth notes. All right, so hopefully you can hear that this isn't something that if somebody's listening to you practice this, they're not going to go, oh my gosh, that person is absolutely amazing. But it is one of those things that is going to eventually turn you into an amazing musician if you're thinking about time this deeply. Remember, music, jazz, especially, is nothing without a good sense of time. And a good sense of time is not just for rhythm section players. Anybody who wants to play this music has to have a great sense of time. This is really going to get you there. So next week, we're going to explore a little bit more complicated rhythmic schemes that are going to be a little bit more advanced than what I've just shown you. But if you feel like your time is suffering, get on this stuff immediately because it's really going to help you. Okay? So if you want the PDFs, head over to the website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, and you can grab them there at our Patreon site. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really means a ton to me that you guys keep coming back week after week, and hopefully I am bringing you some value. All right, we will talk to you on Monday. See you soon. Bye.